Triple Changers. They're Transformers that have 2 alt modes, and in this game, have 2 abilities. Sometimes abilities that can mesh well with each other. Sometimes Triple Changers can be good, but other times they're in serious need of an improvement because of their fragile yet versatile nature. There is, of course, one Triple Changer that has earned my respect and a place in the number 1 team. Triple Changers are skill-based, however, so you need to learn how to use them in their combos, but one of which is Sandstorm. Sandstorm is kind of like a rush and support at the same time. Now, you may be thinking, how is Sandstorm one of the better Triple Changers out there? Well, I'm going to let this guy teach you all how to use him. But of course, we gotta learn who is Sandstorm, as well as his Decepticon rival, Octone, who is some sort of carrier jet for the flight mode for Octone, and his other mode is a tanker truck. Now, let's start by analyzing Sandstorm's personality first, as well as Octone's. Now, alright, Sandstorm. Danger is what Sandstorm lives for, and luckily for him, there's plenty of it to go around. The Cybertronian equivalent of an adrenaline junkie, Sandstorm can't stand the mundane, the daily, the usual. He craves the intensity of life or death situations and always manages to find his way to the front lines. While no one can doubt his dedication, some wonder whether Sandstorm's thrill-seeking clouds his sense of right and wrong. If he isn't careful, this Triple Changer may one day lose his grounding and fall to the darker impulses of his nature. And his Decepticon counterpart, Octone, or Octane, if Mercenary Terror is watching. No one trusts Octone/Octane, and for good reason. This Decepticon only cares about one thing in the universe, or maybe 3 things, if you count all of his modes. The only reason Octone wasn't blasted to oblivion eons ago is his uncanny ability to locate and supply fuel. Other Decepticons know that when they're low, Octane will be there. Unfortunately, they also know that he'll use their need for energy in the worst way, scamming and manipulating them without a shred of honor. He's even been banished from the Decepticons a few times for his chicanery, but he always manages to manipulate his way back in. Greedy for more. Now let's have a look at Sandstorm's stats. Now, Sandstorm right here is a Triple Changer, as we all know. Versatile with 2 abilities that mesh with each other. My Sandstorm is currently level 62, with a ridiculous power level of 5,093. His damage is alright at best. His base damage is 499 or 499.8, with the boost of the Titan perk, which grants him a total of 572 damage. His health is not too great compared to warriors like let's say Ironhide or Pipes, or maybe even Sideswipe. Wait, is Sideswipe solve it? Huh. My Sandstorm does have a little more health than Sideswipe. But anyways, you get the point. Sandstorm is a little fragile, so you're gonna have to have some finesse to use him. His abilities: Toxic Rush and Supply Airdrop. 2 abilities which synergize well. Toxic Rush at Special Ability 11. 40+% max health and damage absorption for 12 seconds, which that's the Special 11 that is granted onto him upon reaching there. The other build, yeah. You know what I'm talking about. It's like, if it's not ability 11, that shield is not going to be there. So he's incredibly squishy and vulnerable, which is why I can see that not many people like Sandstorm, because he has to be a 5-star and have SA 11 in order to be as good as he is now. Which is why the Sandstorm guide is here, to show you how to properly use this guy. But anyways, back to the subject. He gets 40+% max health and damage absorption for 12 seconds. Rush into combat and release Acid in a large zone on impact, which Acid is currently one of the best buffs in the game. deal 2,085 acid damage over 10 seconds to enemies and provide 3,861 extra healing over 5 seconds to all Autobots under the supply airdrop effect. Now, supply airdrop. Drops fuel supply from the air. Within a large area, all Autobots receive 3,861 healing for 10 seconds, and all Decepticon buildings under the Tar Sands Rush, which is Toxic Rush, by the way, effect, receives an extra 2,085 damage over 5 seconds. So what this ability is saying is let's say you use Tar Sands Rush or Toxic Rush. It does the damage, but if you use the supply airdrop effect, it's gonna double the damage. The same could be said the other way around. Like, if you apply the supply airdrop and your bots heal and then use Toxic Rush, that healing's gonna double. And it's gonna be devastating. But unfortunately, being a triple changer, he is incredibly fragile. So you gotta make sure he has SA-11 in order to at least survive for at least 12 seconds upon using his ability. Now on to the combat and core recommendations. Now to the core and combat setups. The best setup you want to use for Sandstorm, especially at SA-11, is Alchemist Prime and Top Shot. Alchemist Prime allows you to heal for all the damage he does, and Top Shot is a fire AoE bot, which shoots a fireball and does fire damage to all the targets around him. Now, once he uses Toxic Rush, it deploys acid in the area, which prevents healing and increases fire damage. Once that happens and he starts shooting the fireball, he can heal for a ridiculous amount of damage and HP. Now, I tried recording some gameplay, but whenever I set off Sandstorm on the pad, it kind of freezes and prevents any visual gameplay for a few seconds. But I will be suggesting other combats, but I won't be showing them for the very reason of my current recording issue. Now, here's another combat, Trenchfoot, which he deals an extra damage bonus if any building is under any elemental effect. It increases his overall damage from the combat boost, like right here, which is the 4-star, but it applies a 30% speed reduction for 3.5 seconds, which is what the usual thing for Trenchfoot is. Now, another combat that could be extremely useful, which I only had the 3-star, is Nightstick. And we all know Nightstick is basically fire drive, but acid and heals. And he heals based on the level. If he's level 10, he heals for 100% of the damage, the basic damage he does. Now, another core that you can use if you don't got Alchemist is to try a Glass Cannon setup and go for Prima, which enemies hit by basic attacks take extra percent of damage from all sources for 5 seconds, but it does not work on the HQ. If you don't got any Prime Core, simply go Rejuvenate. Nothing can go wrong with Rejuvenate. But the problem is, for Sandstorm, is that his special ability 11 is required. Not only because he doesn't have the shield, but the range is ridiculously short, and thus hinders his survivability drastically. That's all I can really say for the core recommendations. But I will be showing Sandstorm in action with the best setup at SA-11 with Alchemist Prime and Top. Now here, I'm going to be showing y'all a demonstration of Sandstorm with the best setup in SA-11 with one of my officers' bases, Soundbreaker. Which, shout out to him, he allowed me to try this out. We're going to be doing normal mode, but maybe I'll show a clip of hard mode for your Prime League players. Alright. Now with Sandstorm, his range is huge, but is much shorter at SA-10 or below. Probably around the range of the current supply drop, or probably even shorter. But anyways, my favorite thing to do with Sandstorm is rush as far as I can to the base, and cause massive amounts of destruction. With this Toxic Rush area of effect, which that's what AoE stands for, area of effect. Heal up, then rush along over here. Gonna get rid of those FFDs, that's a huge problem. Hi, Overlord! I'm just gonna... Yeah, don't mind Nemesis and Fortress Maximus in the background. Yeah, the FFD is gone. Now, we heal. Let me get a little closer. And see, there's the shield. Now I feel much more safe with this. Now you see Sandstorm zoomed in. He's focusing on the other bots, which isn't too much of a big deal because of the AoE fireballs from Top Shot. The HQ is still taking damage. Now just Toxic Rush and finish the base off. That's how you play a Sandstorm. Now you still gotta be aware of the force field disruptors, but yeah. Now let's try a hard mode battle. Now here's the extra battle effects that are being displayed. The buildings have 10% more health and damage, and the outpost combiner has 25% more health. This is going to be a bit more tricky, as Overlord can be quite a threat sometimes. Now let's try the same idea, but with these new effects. Let's turn that off. Let's do the usual. Rush over here. Splatter. These buildings are still lasting quite a while. Now, let's go for the same scenario. It's important to take out the FFD cores, considering how dangerous they can be. Just watch them melt, and then rush over here. Heal up. Get rid of that. That's going to be really annoying. Shield up. Yep, there's a shield. And as soon as that shield goes away, Sandstorm's going to heal up. I'm impressed doing a hard battle, but now that's the usual best setup for Sandstorm. Now we're going to go over his strengths. There's a random team I'm going to be using for strengths, but this is what Sandstorm specializes in. He not only doubles as a rush bot, like a destructive rush bot with frail health that you have to keep check of, but he can also double as a support bot. I'm going to be showing more of a support side instead of just the destructive side. Going to be demonstrating with this squad. Let's just send Dynabot over there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until my allies take damage, like lots of damage. I'm going to send Afterbreaker into sacrifice mode. Pop all those outposts, get all their attention. Now we're at a point where I'm going to have to be concerned for my teammates' safety. So I'm going to drop, airdrop, and rush over to Tarantulas, where Optimal just so happens to be within vicinity. I'm just going to use Wheeljack to help out Sandstorm even more. Supply airdrop. Yep, Sandstorm and Wheeljack healed it. Not to show a tiny bit of his destructive side. Now, unfortunately, his allies have to be close to Sandstorm whenever he uses the Toxic Rush in order for them to benefit from the Ultra Heal from Sandstorm. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. I've been using Dynabot a lot. I'm just gonna... Yeah, there we go. Finish off with Sandstorm, my favorite triple changer. So that could be some strengths that Sandstorm has. Not only serving as a destructive acid AoE bot, which is especially helpful since he has Alchemist and Top Shot, but can also at least a decent support with the supply airdrop when using the heal, and then the Toxic Rush trying to boost that heal. So that could be a few strengths that Sandstorm has. As I stated before, Sandstorm has loads of utility, being so versatile. He can use his Toxic Rush to poison an entire area with his acid, preventing them from healing, whilst healing by himself, as well as healing other allies, and Alchemist Prime definitely makes him a versatile option, with Legion Maximo also being able to protect him from hacking, and Megatronus, which is also pretty useful for whenever he uses Toxic Rush ability. But sadly, like all the greats, Sandstorm has a plethora of weaknesses, one of which revolves around his health. He has a pretty low health stat, 21,000 HP, and in case you guys are wondering, my Sandstorm just recently leveled up. Now that being said, whenever his shield goes down at special ability 11, that's when you got to really worry about him. Be sure to use his combo or either or the abilities. But in the battlefield, there are loads of things out there that are impeding your progress in effectively using Sandstorm. One of the weaknesses that I'm going to state at the very end actually doesn't have anything to do with the battle, and rather how you have to get him, which I'll explain in a bit. First, I'm going to be covering two weaknesses in one in this base I'm about to attack, which is another one of my alliance mates. Here is one of my alliance mates' bases. This combiner beacon has Liokaiser, who is infamous for his hack zone ability, as you all usually see in my defense videos. And then the second weakness he has, which isn't that big, is the ray blockers, which prevents healing and muffles the healing, basically. So it can pretty much mute his supply airdrop, lowering it down severely, but not his core ability. At least that's what I think. But the hack is definitely a problem. The only way to counter the hack of Liokaiser is by either using a different bot to take it for the team, or use a combiner to completely make Liokaiser waste his ability. But another source of hacking is Legion Maximo. With Legion Maximo, nearby bots are hacked, and the building that has Legion Maximo cannot be hacked. This is a huge problem for Sandstorm, as it completely freezes him up, making him extremely vulnerable to everything around him. The only way you'll be able to pretty much save him from Legion Maximo is by destroying the building itself, or having a bot, like let's say Pipes with the Legion Maximo core himself. Or, as I stated earlier, you could just simply slap Legion Maximo onto Sandstorm himself, but would you really want to sacrifice the Alchemist Prime core for Legion Maximo just to protect him from hacking? I mean, like, it does make sense, but think about it. We're valuing his healing and destruction value. But let's proceed. I'm going to show you the visuals. Oh. Stupid core. For the mine. I forgot its name, but it prevents the abilities. That could be another issue, but I can just quickly recover like that. Oh yeah, stun is yet another problem, but I'm gonna have to find a base with a huge contender for stun. Oh, did I? Up! I got hacked by Legion Maximo. There it is. I knew it was gonna happen. Alright. Technically, any bot can be used to take out Legion Maximo, like Sea Spray right here. But yeah, it could be a huge problem if you're just using Sandstorm by yourself. As you can see here, he already took huge amounts of damage. But we're not really here to entirely win. We're here to demonstrate weaknesses. But on to the next set of weaknesses. Oh yeah, I guess I didn't show you footage of Sandstorm being hacked by Comptron or Liokaiser, so there you go, I guess. Are you happy? Apparently I looked back at the footage whenever I was recording part of Sandstorm's weaknesses, and the Computron hack zone didn't show, so if it doesn't show here, I'm gonna be upset. And then we'll move on to his next set of weaknesses. There's Liokaiser. There, he's hacked. So he can't do anything. And he's gonna shove his spear into my skull. That's awesome. Very good of you, Liokaiser. Did you know since Sandstorm has healing, one of his own weaknesses is actually acid? Well, that's a given, that acid can block healing and it's a powerful effect. But we're not here for acid effects. No, we're here for his other two weaknesses that we're going to be adding on, which is EMP, which is stunning, which bots like Fellbat, Lugnut, Bludgeon, Dustsource, and Breakdown have to stun the characters and basically does what hacking does, just freezes Sandstorm in place. And then there's Force Field Disruptor, which takes away his shield. Now with Sandstorm, if you saw my previous teaser clip for this whole entire video in the first place, if you saw it, you'd definitely know how to do it. But with bots like Lugnut, Bludgeon, and Dustsource, you can use the Supply Airdrop ability to basically cancel their ability, just break their ankles, just wombo combo them. But for bots like Fellbat, that's going to be a huge problem, as that is not possible as the tower sticks around. This gameplay clip is basically going to be speaking for itself. As soon as he lands back on the ground, he's stunned. Now there is a way to fix the stun issue, which is a bot that actually grants you stun immunity, which I'll be covering in a bit. And then there's Fortress Maximus, which grants you stun immunity via the Titan Inspire by defeating the opposing Titan. Now it's Theseus Maximus, which subscribe to him, guys, please. He's a pretty good content creator. But anyways, to take out Force Field Disruptor, just simply take it out. Easier said than done. But anyways, yeah. Now on to the biggest weakness that he has. A weakness that I think definitely holds him back. The biggest weakness that Sandstorm has. Hold on, guys. Sorry, guys, I had to deal with my own dogs, or in Theseus Maximus's case, my own deceptive dogs. But anyways, the biggest weakness that Sandstorm has is from the very 5-star batch he comes from. Sandstorm by himself is pretty good. Rust right here is pretty good to some extent. Her ability is alright. The only weaknesses she has is the range and the fact that she backflips, which makes her range a big issue. The rest of the bots are... I am back again. Sorry. Decepticon issue. But anyways, Rustus isn't that much of a bad bot, but the rest of the bots are just awful. I mean, like, medic-wise, for first aid, he's not that much of a bad medic, but he's not the best either. I just personally don't like first aid. He had to get his SA11 and 5-star to at least be good, but other than that, he is not a medic I'd use. Hotspot used to be the best medic, but now since the warrior buff came around, he's not that much of a good warrior anymore. And Goldfire, he definitely has his own issues too. The only good thing about Goldfire is his huge special ability range. The rest of the qualities about Goldfire is just not that great, especially his survivability. In fact, I'm going to show a gameplay clip or two of all these Batch 6 bots together. Sure, my other Batch 6 bots are not leveled too much as 4 stars, especially first aid. Especially poor Rustus. Definitely not some good setups either, but you get what I'm talking about. Sandstorm is a pretty great bot to have. I just wish my Rustus was a tiny bit invested, unless I had to invest the 5-star version only, but you all get what I mean. The rest of the bots pretty much hold him back. Oh, and here's the abilities, in case you all are wondering. Yeah, the deploy metabots definitely doesn't heal him. Right now, yep, Sandstorm fell. And so did the rest of them. In fact, I'm going to try a random Z14 attack. I mean, like, I could do Z15, but I don't want to be a little too harsh. But I'm going to do a random Z14 attack to show what I'm talking about. If I fail, then I fail. But anyways, I'm going to deploy all these batch 6 bots. Rest of us could definitely go for some better range. But Sandstorm definitely has some big range with his special ability 11. Oh yeah, and I guess another weakness of Sandstorm is that he needs the special ability 11 to make his range as good as it is now. Oh, there's Predaking. And I see the Metabots are just too short of a range. His hotspot was his reflect shield, but can't really heal like other warriors, but y'all get what I mean. Well, okay, I didn't do that bad, but y'all get what I mean. These bots could definitely need an improvement. Now to some bots that will pair well with Sandstorm, and I'll only be showing one video recording because last time I did this, there was an error that just ruined everything. But yeah, I'll be giving out brief descriptions on why these bots could be good support bots for Sandstorm. Now, Alpha Trion, he gives a different buff based on the class of bot. Let's have some time to read the ability. For Sandstorm, that's Reflection. That could be a good thing, but it's a little niche for Sandstorm since his main objective is to heal and damage. Now, Inferno, he definitely gives off more damage. I don't have his 4-star, unfortunately, but you get the gist of it. Inferno rushes into combat and gives an increase in ability damage to all bots. This includes their basic damage and their ability damage. Unfortunately, it requires some finesse to use, as you only have a short window of time to use the boost. Another good bot to pair will be Hot Rod and Nemesis Prime. Hot Rod and Nemesis Prime are arguably very good bots, especially when they're at SA11, where not only they can make your chosen target immune to damage and stun, but also themselves. But for now, my Hot Rod can only do one. This could be very helpful for Sandstorm if he's in a pinch, and to deal with annoying bots like Fellbat. Now, unfortunately, the same weaknesses from the shield applies here. The FFD needs to be destroyed in order to use this properly. The same can be said for Red Alert. Unlike Hot Rod, Red Alert's stun immunity and damage absorption has infinite range and can apply to all teammates. But again, the same amount of weaknesses as Hot Rod, the FFD. Now, an interesting one is Perceptor. And it's because of his passive ability to hack outpost bots. But the only weakness behind him is high frequency suppressor, which muffles hack. Now, the idea is, once Sandstorm pops some outposts, especially some annoying ones like Dirge, Fellbats, or if he so happens to get stunned by another stun or hack bot, just deploy the Perceptor, and those outpost bots will be hacked and will potentially help you destroy the HQ. But hey, if you don't want to deal with the outpost bots in the first place, use Afterbreaker. His range with the Ring of Fire is pretty huge, and I might even show a recording of it too. But the best bot, no matter what the situation is Slingshot. He is the definition of an acid and fire catalyst. Just deploy Acid Storm in an area, and then rush Sandstorm over there. His Toxic Rush damage is gonna be skyrocketing. I'm gonna show a few clips, as well as explain something very important. You see, Blur actually used to be on the spot on this team, and during some of these clips, I'll be explaining why he was booted off the team. Now here's a good example base in order to show the afterbreaker strategy. And I'll be showing the slingshot one too. So afterbreaker deploys. He rushes headlong. Deploys Tarantulas. Yeah, he popped all the outposts and forced him to deploy. You're gonna have to wait for the abilities to run out. I guess that could be good. Now, deploy these two. Acid Storm and Toxic Rush. Ah, dang it. I'm stunned. I sure didn't see this one coming. That's gonna be my target area. Who's stunning me? It's gotta be Scourge. But yeah, you get the idea. But now I'm gonna be showing you why Blur was replaced on that specific team. Okay, it's not exactly the best time trap base, but it's close enough. You see, I used to main Blur before SA11 Sandstorm. Blur was definitely effective at rushing to the base and taking it out. But you see, the problem was, the idea is it's supposed to be the range. The thing that killed Blur for me was the range, which brought me to liking Sandstorm, who is much more destructive than Blur. Now, let's do a side-by-side comparison by deploying the both of them. Side by side. Are you serious? Well, okay. Here's Blur's... yeah, get over here. We'll do a better comparison that way. Here's Sandstorm's range, and then here's Blur's. You can arguably see that even by side, Sandstorm's is larger. The problem with Blur was that each time I try to go to the edge of the first part of the time trap, his range won't cut it to make it to the other half. Sandstorm gets the job done and does it much better than Blur. I honestly hope Blur gets buffed so that way his range gets the increase. I swear. Okay, it's a bonus this time. But yeah, you get the idea. You start coming across time traps more, and Blur ends up getting held back. So that's one of my reasons, or at least a very solid reason, why Sandstorm took over for Blur in my team.
Attack! Abilities ready. Abilities ready. Abilities ready.
Overall, I think Sandstorm is the definition of a solid triple changer. He has a solid amount of strengths and a solid amount of weaknesses. Sure, he needs SA11 and probably 5-star to even be usable, but once he reaches that, he's one of the best. Sure, he's not Prime League material like Ironhide and Pipes, because his health holds him back and you need to constantly heal him to keep him alive. But other than that, he's pretty good for the lower leagues. Especially the 5-star SA11, as mentioned earlier. My final ratings that I give Sandstorm, without SA11, he'd be a 3 out of 10. Basically, he'd be a worse version of Springer. But with SA11, he is a 9 out of 10. He is a pretty great bot to have. It's just that there's some things that hold him back, such as FFD, anti-heal, hack, stun, and the batch he comes from. But other than that, that's all for my Sandstorm analysis. I hope you guys found this analysis enjoyable and at least plausible and credible in such a way. If you guys want me to analyze more bots, be sure to tell me in the comments down below. Hold on, let me think. And be sure to share this with your friends if you found this informational, at the very least. Now, I'm very sorry that I didn't feature too much gameplay recordings because of the frequent freezing that I've been experiencing. But hey, if you want me to post a entirely different video with Sandstorm gameplay, feel free to ask. Now, if you have any questions about Sandstorm in the comments, be sure to ask away. This is Big Blade 297, signing off.